I said, I've been sick for a few days, so I'm going to go back and talk about Saint Jose Sanchez del Rio. Childhood friend of Father Maciel, who founded the Legionnaires of Christ and who witnessed Jose's death. At age 13, the boy became a flag bearer in the Cristero Army, the Army for Christ. I guess that's what Cristero would be, who were fighting to remain Catholic in the face of anti-religious government decrees in Mexico. Correct? Yes, Mexico. As his two brothers were his older brothers were fighting against the forces as soldiers, I believe. He was too young to go to the front line. He ended up being a flag bearer. He was captured by government troops. He was imprisoned, abused, mutilated. In order to renounce Christianity, Jose refused and was a martyr. He died in 1913, so this is a very recent saint. Just a boy. He was born in 1913, died in 1928, so he was 15 years old. He was hacked with machetes, stabbed with bayonets, and finally shot. That's Mexico, a Catholic country, or is a Catholic country. And that's how the forces see. And this relates to today too. This relates to our church and our country today. The reality is, if there is a God, and I believe there is, I've come to the logical reasoning that there is a God and that Jesus is the Son of that God, and that Jesus came here to earth, died, and rose. No man rises from the dead. So for me, that's the capper. That is the reason. What is it? The pas à terre, re à terre. I don't know how you say that in French. I think that's the reason for me is there was a Jesus who walked the earth. He died, and people saw he died, and people have been dying rather than denying that he rose from the dead ever since. To me, the government in Mexico at that day, the government today, has to be the number one power. The government, unless you have a Christian nation, then Christianity is not going to be at the fore and not going to be at the front. If each man is allowed to believe in his religion, is allowed to believe in God, in the Christian God, then that can become a problem to any government that's not a Christian nation. Because ultimately governments become corrupt. Ultimately governments, not Christian governments, although they also can become corrupt. But ultimately, most governments will end up becoming corrupt and end up wanting more power. And if your government wants more power, then it has to be God. It has to be the prevailing ruler of the people, the prevailing God. And if the Catholic faith is in the way, then the government is going to have to counter or eliminate or negate or neutralize that religion. And I think that's what's happening today. I don't know if that's exactly the situation that happened in Mexico, but whenever the Catholic Church is there, the Catholic Church has always been there for the last 2,000 years. So when the Catholic Church is there, that becomes a problem to the government. In our country today, the Catholic Church is still here, but I don't think it's a problem. And the reason the Catholic Church isn't being bothered specifically is because it's not, I think, from my observance, that the Catholic Church is not boldly proclaiming its mission. And that is that to bring people to Christ, and then, as it says in the gospel, sin no more, go and sin no more. And if the church was saying boldly, abortion is wrong. We had this commercial yesterday in the Super Bowl about God gets us, or he gets us, which was a pretty bland concept of how God supposedly accepts everyone as they are. But again, the gospel says he forgave their sins, and then he said, go and sin no more. He didn't say stay in your sin, stay in your lust, stay in your sexual sins, stay in your confusions. He said, go and sin no more. Stay in your greed, whatever it is, jealousy. So to me, it seems that, that commercial is a nice start, but why would I start there? Why not? Where was the Catholic Church's commercial? Why aren't they saying this marriage is between a man and a woman? Why aren't they saying that God created the man and woman? He didn't create the man, woman, Zer, and 8,500 different variations. If I wake up tomorrow, if someone wakes up tomorrow and feels as a man and feels feminine, whatever that would be, that doesn't mean that he's a woman. It just means he's having odd feelings because he's not a woman, he's a man. So anyway, Saint Jose, Del Rio Sanchez. We should ask him to pray for us because he boldly proclaimed, blessed something Stepanek. We should ask him to pray for us, and that our church would boldly proclaim the Catholic faith.